Yo, Steel Mills, man, what's the deal, man? Tapping back in with y'all, man. Man, I fucks with y'all. You fucks with me, I fucks with you. You dig? I like. It's dope going into my comment section and seeing people actually, watching the video and fucking with what I gotta say. I don't care if it's in disagreement or you like, oh, yo, man, homeboy got a good point. Like, I fucks with it. I love it. I love it nonetheless, man. So it's appreciated. And I look forward when to seeing that shit, man. But one of the let me turn my AC on. It's beautiful out here in the city, man. So, hey, 86 degrees. We've been waiting for weather like this, man. We had a brutal winter, man. But one of the cats in the comment section asked me to do a break, give my personal analysis on Teofimo Lopez versus a Devin Haney, man. So I'll do my best to do it, man. Both of them, what I don't like about them is how low they keep their hands. Because, Floyd has really pushed the envelope with this Philly shell. Everybody wants to use the Philly, man. Floyd has influenced everybody, from a business perspective and how they go about their matchmaking and getting the most bang for your buck, and which is cool. You're putting your life on the line to entertain us. So I don't, I understand when people want, they want as much money as they can possibly get in a fight. I understand. I real life understand that. I get it. I do. You dig? So he's influenced that from that paradigm, even though none of them have really been as successful with it. I think Teofimo may be on to something. I think he's making wise business moves as far as that's concerned. I think he's showing the most promise as far as the business end of boxing. So I think Floyd has influenced him from that paradigm and how he fought in the ring with, or just his particular approach to, the stance that he stands in with the Philly shell. And only one I've seen really been able to emulate that, that Philly the way that Floyd did slightly is Shakur Stevenson. The kid is really prolific defensively, man. And Floyd was able, a lot of these cats don't have the upper body movement to make the Philly as effective as Floyd did, and not necessarily upper body movement in the sense of moving your upper torso side to side and taking your head off the center line. It's rolling the punches. It's being able to time the shots, roll them mid-ring, off the rope. I don't see that from none of these cats. I see, they'll move their head, which is what you're supposed to do in the sport, man. But what made the Philly so prolific was, the shoulder roll. The shoulder roll that he implemented with the shell. So he doesn't have to move his head. It takes a lot less energy to roll the shots than actually take your head off of the line. And that's what a lot of these cats do. They'll have their hands up in the, in the guard or whatever, and they'll dip up under shots still. It's like you may as well just use the traditional peekaboo, but to each his own. But they both keep their hands a little too low for my liking. But that comes with the defensive approach that they use. So it is what it is with that. That's about all I can say as far as anything that detracting from them, man. But I think they're pretty evenly matched, man. I think except in power punching. I think power punching is the only thing where it's just a clear night and day difference in. But I think they're pretty evenly matched in footwork. I think Devin Haney does edging in footwork, though. I think counter punching, I think they're pretty evenly matched in that. It's just different approaches, man. Teofimo is a lot more prolific with his counter punching when it's done off of the catch and the shoot. And just he has a pretty vast vocabulary of punches that he throws off of the catch and shoot. I've seen him throw uppercuts off of the catch and shoot. He'll catch a hook and launch an uppercut, like with the same hand. You dig? Just really, really eloquent and sophisticated catch and shoot counters. So I think he's the baddest catch and shoot counter puncher in the game. And I think that's where he shines most at. I think Devin Haney is best when he's setting traps, getting you to overcommit on the shot, and he's running you into left hooks. He's running you, left hooks. You know, he does, him and Keith Thurman. You know, they set really good traps with the left hook, but he's also walking you in the right hands as well. You know, they both jab. You know, they both jab well. Really good jabs. Devin Haney jabs to the body. He's a little bit more rangier, so he's, he can control you a lot better with the jab. And he's not the biggest puncher, so he's gonna rely on work rate more so than a Lomachenko, who can go on out. If Lomachenko was working, or anybody else besides, if Teofimo is working on anybody else besides Lomachenko, they're going to sleep, because not everybody isn't as defensively sound as Lomachenko, man. But I think it's an evenly fought match. It's pretty even as far as skill set is concerned. I think, like I said, with the footwork, Devin Haney's a little bit more, he's I think his footwork, I think he has better feet than Teofimo. When you're a back foot fighter, you're trying to create that space and that distance between you and the other fighter, so you have to be on the go. You have to be able to punch on the go. And just in a split second, set a trap, get somebody to overcommit on the shot, and you take that slight step back, all in a split second, and capitalize off of him overextending on the shot. I think Devin Haney is a lot more prolific in, what I'm saying, as far as counters with, those type of counters. It's like Juan Manuel Marquez. They're both pretty good. They're both good at making you miss and making you pay. They're both good at that. They're, good defense from both of them. Their foot. Now, I will say, Teofimo really impressed me with his footwork against Lomachenko, with how he was able to, turn with him. That I was, my eyes was popping out of my head like, because I didn't think he would be able to do that. I didn't think he had that type of IQ. Clearly, he trained and prepared for that fight, because I heard him say it before. Yeah, when he cuts those angles, he only, he spins out to one way, and he realized that, and he was able to neutralize it early on. Or not neutralize it, but just make it, less effective. He didn't neutralize it in the sense of like he just stopped doing it, because y'all already know how, I've given a breakdown on that fight before, but he was able to spin with him. He was able to turn with him. That was tantamount, man. So I think, but I still would edge the footwork battle to Devin Haney, because I think it's just a little bit more natural with him, because Teofimo wants to be the cat who's gonna close the distance and land the hellacious bombs that he's going to throw, where Devin Haney can get in and get out and stay out and keep that distance between, maintain the distance between him and his opponent for a lot longer than a Lomachenko, than a Teofimo would, man. So I would edge that to Devin Haney, man. As far as that's concerned, they pretty good. To be an effective counterpuncher, you have to have good defense. So they're both defensively sound. I think I don't know who I would favor better as far as defenses is concerned. My biggest, drawback from Devin Haney is the fact that he hasn't been in with the caliber of competition that Teofimo has. And we'll get a far better understanding of Devin Haney after he fights Jorge Linares. We'll have a far better understanding of who he is and where he sits at in the rankings after his fight, next month after he fights Jorge Linares. We've seen Teofimo do what he does with 3 top 10 opponents, 2 of them being former world champions, one of them being pound for pound, not personally on my list number 1, but for a lot of people number 1 on the pound for on their pound for pound list. And for him to do that, yikes, man. So I think it's pretty evenly matched. Lomachenko, why do I keep calling this nigga Lomachenko? Teofimo is clearly the bigger puncher. Devin Haney is, superior with his feet. I think it'd be a damn good match, a very good match, and it's a fight that we all need to see. We all need to see this fight, and so as far as who I think would win, I'd have to edge Teofimo in this fight. I can't go against Teofimo in this fight because of who he's been in there with. He's been in there with two, like I said, 3 top 10 opponents in the division. He's been in there with them. He stepped on one in 2 rounds. He got Richard Comey out in 2 rounds, man. 2 rounds. It took that man 2 rounds to get that man about the paint. That can't be ignored. That can't be ignored. And how he was able to neutralize Lomachenko's offense for an entire first half of the fight. You can't ignore that. Because I've never seen Lomachenko go that inactive for 6 rounds. So I would have to go Teofimo in the sense of Devin Haney is going to be there to be hit. Not necessarily saying he's a stationary target or nothing like that, but because he's clearly not. I clearly gave him the edge in footwork. But I think when you look at a cat like Lomachenko, how he throws punches off of the angles that he creates, he gets into position first and see if he can get there. How you react and how you respond to him getting there before he starts launching the shots. He did that against Teofimo, but Teofimo was able to neutralize it early on in the fight. But when he started throwing, he knew, all right, cool. He's not doing anything. The only thing he's doing is spinning with me. Jorge Linares, as I said before, was able to, he started throwing those left hooks every time Lomachenko would cut that angle. He would throw that left hook to force Lomachenko's hands to stay at home. So the angles weren't as effective as they were early on in the fight after he called, he got his rhythm and he got his, his timing and everything. So with Lomachenko, he was just, just pivoting out, spinning out with Lomachenko every time he would cut that angle. But when he started cutting the angle and punching off of the angles, that's where, it's like, God damn. And I thought Teofimo would, if he was to win that fight, it would be because of the catch and shoot. The catch and shoot was not a factor in that fight at all. You dig? And he got to a point where he would just be completely out of sight, out of the range of sight for a Teofimo Lopez in that fight. I don't think Devin Haney has the prolific footwork of a Lomachenko. And I think it'd be easier to calculate the shots that Devin Haney would be throwing at Teofimo. And it'd be easier for him to launch off of the shots that he's catching. So he's not necessarily going to be there. I'm not saying he's a stationary target or nothing like that, because clearly he's not. But I think it'd be easier for him to utilize his catch and shoot defense against a Devin Haney as opposed to a Teofimo Lopez. And the power punching. Gamboa was able to close distance on Devin Haney minus a jab. He would just step in and throw, a hook and a 2 off of the hook. Not, in spurts. He didn't do it consistently, but just, he's over the hill, and he's not who he was when he fought Bud 6-7 years ago. So for him to be able to do that is like, man, what are you gonna? That was supposed to be a step up fight for him. You know what I'm saying? That was the best. That's the best name on his resume. And he's over the hill. He's older, and he was able to do that, man. He was able to do that. So that worries me. If a Gamboa can get in and find you without coming in, if a Gamboa can close distance from mid distance to right in your grill, and it's not even behind a jab. What do you think is going to happen with a Teofimo Lopez, whose limbs are longer, so he doesn't have to cover as much distance as a Gamboa? And, I'd have to go with Lomachenko, with Teofimo. I keep getting their names confused because they're both unique names. It's not names that you necessarily hear often, so they confuse me. But yeah, I'd have to go with Teofimo Lopez in that fight as far as who I think would win. I think we would see Teofimo's catch and shoot defense really be prevalent in this fight. I think he'd be able to utilize it a lot more, and the power punching. He hasn't been in there with it. Teofimo Lopez has elite punching power for that division. Elite punching power. Man, yeah, I gotta go with Teofimo Lopez, man. He could possibly drop him. Jorge Linares has, he has solid power, so we'll see how he deals with a puncher like a Jorge Linares, who was a legitimate champion with multiple title defenses. We'll see how he's able to deal with those shots, and we'll see how he's able to deal with him in general, and I'll get a better understanding of who Devin Haney is as a fighter and how he deals with adversity and what's his punch resistance like when it comes to power punchers. So I'll have a better understanding at that moment, but as of now, I have no other choice but to edge Teofimo Lopez, man. Just I don't, spinning. I don't see him being able to just consistently spin Teofimo off of the jab and really work off of the jab like that. I don't see it, man. I don't see it. I don't see it at all. He's gonna spin him and get walked right into a right hook, or not a right hook, but a right straight. He's gonna get walked right. He's gonna catch that jab and he's gonna launch that right hand off of it. And I don't know how he'd be able to deal with it. I don't. So at the moment, I'd have to edge Lomachenko and Teofimo in this fight. I'd have to edge Teofimo. I think it's the smarter decision to make. His opposition is really gonna, you can't ignore it. You can't ignore it. He's defeated, he's dethroned 2 sitting world champions in his last 3 fights and introduced the world to Nakatani. We know who Nakatani is through Lomachenko. Through Teofimo, we know who Nakatani is. And he's a threat in that division. We just saw it with him and Verdejo, and he's about to fight Lomachenko. So that completely trumps Gamboa being your best opponent. So, and you wasn't even able to hurt him, you dig? I wasn't mad at you not knocking him out, but I did kind of want to see you hurt him, drop him or something like that, man. Gamboa was kind of like, he was still in there like, man, I could win this fight. Like, he was still fighting with a sense of confidence. He was fighting with it. And, shout out to Gamboa, man. The dude he's a beast. Cuban school fighter. Granite chin. Salute to him. Salute to him. He's a warrior in there, man. He's a warrior. So it's no knock on him, but we did expect a little bit more out of Devin Haney for that fight. But I was not mad at you just pitching a shutout. I wasn't mad at that at all. I was defending you a lot because dumbass niggas was on these forums talking about you trash and all that shit. That was setting me off. Like, you trash because how you pitch a shutout and you trash, man. People just get real unrealistic when it comes to the sport. Like, you just supposed to, everybody you just go in there with, you just supposed to knock everybody out. Even though we did expect you to, or at least hurt him, I wasn't mad at you for outboxing him. I wasn't mad at that at all. And I still think you can beat a Teofimo. For those reasons right there that I saw in that fight that were glaring and I can't ignore, I see Teofimo winning that fight. Not by knockout as of yet, but I do see him winning on points. I'll come back to that after I see, how you deal with power punching from a puncher, from a cat who can punch. I'll see then, because Linares can punch. So we'll have a better gauge of who you are at that moment. So, yeah, that's how I'm feeling about it, man. Teofimo for the win. Like and subscribe. Let me know what y'all think, man. Let me know if I'm burnt out or if I'm on to something. Peace.